The last speaker before we get to Congressman Linder is somebody who I know has been very close to Congressman Linder for many years, and we are certainly honored to have him as our congressman today, and that is Rob Woodall. So, Congressman Woodall, if you'd like to make a few comments.
I appreciated, Joan, your little nod out that we're still doing an okay job today. But just to be clear, I've been on the job 60 days. John Linder's a rock star. John Linder is absolutely a rock star. And I care a lot about what he did over the last 10 years, but I care more about what he did while I was still learning to walk and talk. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about this morning. Buzz, Josh, how many Republicans we have in the State House today? Give me a ballpark. 118. John, when you decided to run for the State House the first time, how many Republicans were in the State House? 19. 19. There was a time when the Gwinnett GOP would not meet in a room quite this size. There was a time when it wasn't cool to be a Republican, to be a conservative. I go back to when John and Lynn and three other people could gather in a room, and they would call that the North Metro Republican meeting for the week. John used to tell the story of getting a call from Paul Coverdell saying, I always tell it wrong, John said, Augusta or Savannah? Savannah. Getting a call from Paul Coverdell saying, John, I'm not feeling well, I can't make it down there. Will you drive down to Savannah because we've got a meeting trying to recruit some new Republicans? John gets in the car, says, I'm happy to do it, drives from North Metro area down to Atlanta. How many folks were there, John? 6? 7. 7 people, because that's what you had to do. If you were going to build a party, that's what you had to do. You had to get in the car and drive to Savannah to find 7 folks down there who were willing to help spread the word. I'm a big believer, as Zell Miller used to say, that the Democratic Party left Georgians. Not so many Georgians left the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party left us. But it took a whole lot of legwork on the front end of that thing to make that happen. And that's what every time I walk onto the floor of the House and I see 8 Republican members in the Georgia congressional delegation. Of course, in 1990, it was just Newt. 1 Republican in the entire congressional delegation of the state of Georgia. We've got a chance with redistricting to push that number up to 11 out of 14. 1 in 1990. John taught me a lot, but the most important thing that he taught me is that there is absolutely nothing that's worth trading away your principles. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's no degree of vitriol that they can write about you in the editorial page at AJC. There's no PAC that can say, well, we're just not going to deal with you anymore after that. There's no interest group that says, well, we're going to go out and activate and work against you in the next election. That's all the best possible thing that can happen. And if you'd have told me 15 years ago that in 2011 we'd have had a freshman class of 87 John Linder-like folks who figure it's more important to go down on principle than to succeed by trading it away, I wouldn't have believed it. If you ever come to Washington, D.C., and you miss John, I want you to walk into Dan Benechek's office. He's a new freshman Republican. He represents the northern part of Michigan, the peninsula up there. He's got a sign when you walk in the door that says, if you're looking for money, you're in the wrong office. I learned that from John years and years ago, and does that today. I've been taken in by the Linder family. I only wish Lynn were here today. I think of them as a pair. And no matter what kind thing John said about me over the years, no matter how smart he wanted to tell me that I was, or what a good job I did on that day, it was always prefaced with, "But Rob, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I've got the smartest and best advisor I could possibly have." I was thinking that was coming to me. It's his wife, Lynn Linder, and his constant companion for all those years. You will see me standing far away from John Linder for most of the morning today. If any of you watched the President Bush 41 when he jumped out of the airplane at age 80, his son, the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, was standing there beside him. Just looked like a big kid. Whenever I'm in the room with John Linder, I'm not a United States Congressman. I'm just a big kid standing next door to the real United States Congressman. John, I'm happy to be here with you today, and thanks for coming back to be a part of this. Thanks for putting that on, Scott.
We are sorry that Lynn couldn't be here today. She really has been so important to John over his life and certainly his career. We did have a little gift for her that Bruce has provided, so we certainly want to get this to Lynn. And certainly at this point, we would love to have he will always be our Congressman, Congressman John Linder, come up and say a few words.
Thank you very much. Please. Thank you very much. Sit down. On June 16th of 1963, I met Lynn in Deer River, Minnesota. She was 18, just about to be 18, and I was just about to be 21. And 2 months later, I asked her to marry me, and she went to her parents and said that we were going to get married. And her mother looked at her and said, "Lynn Linder, that sounds like a carnival ride." It's been a hell of a ride for going on 48 years. But this has been a ride, too, for the last 36 here with you folks. When I decided to quit, it was quite sudden. I really intended to run one more time and have an apartment here, and it just didn't feel honest about it. So I quit at exactly the right time. There's a lot of folks in Congress who are old as me and older, and they should quit too. We need young blood, good thinkers, people like Rob who are dedicated, smart. I don't think anybody who's been in Congress more than 10 or 15 years has ever come up with a new idea. It's young people that come up with those. And so I'm terribly content. I've got something to do on my farm every day, and if I don't feel like doing it, I don't do it. I'm reading a couple of books at a time. See our grandkids a lot. They live about 50 minutes away. And it was the right time for me to do this and the right way to do it. It was just quite accidental that my wife and my son-in-law bought a piece of property about 5 or 6 years ago for him to hunt deer in and for timber cutting. And we had a contract on it. Then they bought another one for 200, that was 775 acres. Then they bought 250 acres. And we had a contract on the first one, and we decided to look for another piece to flip the money on into. And my son-in-law came across this piece of property. It's 835 acres with a 50-acre lake in it that's totally owned by us. And I took one look at that on the internet and said, I'll buy that one. And we built a house right on the edge of that lake. I can step right out of the yard and catch a mess of fish for evening. Dinner is just full of fish. We see lots of deer. In fact, we saw a deer swim across the lake the other day and walk right up in our yard and then walk off. We have wild turkeys all over the place, and we're just very content. I'm going to be teaching some this fall in Ole Miss. Oxford is about 40 minutes away from our place. And I love being around young people, and the opportunity to do that again for me will be a great deal of fun. It's an honor to do that kind of thing. And it's been an honor to serve you. You have no idea how much you're appreciated. You have no idea how humbling it is to see the support for so long from so many people. Rob has already noticed this. You can drive down a road in this district and see his yard sign up and wonder whose house it is and who put it there. Somebody did. And those folks are often invisible and often unknown, but always appreciated. And the only thing I can say to you is thank you very much.
say one quick thing about, I'll give it back to you and you can start running the candidates, okay?
Okay.